The House will come to order. All members, please take their seats. All guests, please clear the aisles. Clerk, will you please unlock the machine? All members record their presence by pressing the green button. All members, please record your attendance. Clerk, please lock the machine. We have 51 members present. There is a quorum. All rise for the invocation to be given today by Deputy Whip Ackerman, who will also lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Deputy Whip Ackerman.
Thank you, Speaker. Dear colleagues, today we dedicate this session in honor of Israeli Independence Day. Conceived from the horrors of the Holocaust, the modern nation of Israel was born, and it gained full independence in 1948. After centuries of strife and persecution, Israeli children are finally born into a life of freedom. Let us honor the sacrifices of those who perished in creating the new modern nation of Israel. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Thank you, Deputy Whip. Next order of business is the approval of the journal. Is there any objection to the approval of the journal of the previous day? Hearing none, so ordered. Next order is communications. Clerk, do we have any communications?
Yes.
Please read and place on file.
Representative Charlene Lima is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative John Edwards is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative Brianna Henrys is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative Deborah Falela is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative James N. McLaughlin is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative David Bennett is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Representative Carlos Tabone is unable to attend session today, Tuesday, April 13, 2021.
Thank you. Please place on file. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Next order of business is new business. Is there any new business? Representative Kislak with new business. Representative Kazmira with new business. Representative Knight with new business. Whip Kazarian with new business. Any other new business? We can come back to new business. Next order of business is the calendar. Clerk, please read the first item on today's calendar.
Item number 1, House 5432, Sub A.
Chairman Casey.
Thank you, Speaker. House 5432 Sub A is brought to us by Representative Ackerman. This is the Mary Ellen Goodwin Colorectal Cancer Screening Act. It's a great bill, and I move passage.
Chairman Casey moves passage, seconded by. Please use the purple button. Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Representative Amore, Representative Phillips, Representative Hawkins, Representative Norrie, Chairman Shanley, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Representative Morales, Representative Cardillo, Representative Bia, Representative Donovan, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Chairwoman McEntee, Rep. O'Brien, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Chairwoman Williams, Chairman Azanaro, Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, Representative Cortravan, Representative Handy, Representative Agello, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Shawcross Smith, Chairman Hull, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Chairman Corvasi, Representative Kislak, Chairman McNamara, Leader Filippi, Representative Potter, Chairman Solomon, Representative Casimiro, Representative Baginski, Representative McGaugh, and Representative Messier. There are no other seconds. There are no, Representative Kazar, are you seconding or would you like to speak? Seconding. Representative Kazar is also seconding. There are no lights. All those in favor, please vote on the green. In the negative, please vote in the red. Leader Blazajewski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 1 from the following representatives. Representatives Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Henrys, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzlikowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, and Tabone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request in the affirmative. Representatives Chippendale, Quattrochi, and Roberts, please.
Thank you. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 68 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Thank you. Is there any objection to transmitting the previous bill to the Honorable Senate forthwith? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you. Clerk, could you please go to item number 2 on today's calendar? Chairman Casey, after he reads it, please.
Item number 2, Senate 383 as amended.
Thank you, Speaker. Senate Bill 383 as amended by Senator Goodwin is the sister bill for the bill we've just passed. This is the Mary Ellen Goodwin Colorectal Cancer Screening Act. I move passage.
Chairman Casey moves passage, seconded by many others. We'll leave it at that. I think we just had a round of seconds for the previous bill. Anyone like to speak on the bill? Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. Leader Blazajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 2 from the following representatives. Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Henrys, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzlikowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, Tabone. Thank you.
Thank you. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request in the affirmative. Representatives Chippendale, Quattrochi, and Roberts, please.
Thank you. Clerk, please lock the machine. All those in favor, please, 60 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act prevails. Thank you. Next docketed item.
Item number 3, House 6037.
Chairman Hull.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill brought to us 6037 by Whip Kazarian. This bill from Representative Kazarian would authorize the City of East Providence to enter a tax treaty with Exxon Mobil Corporation, subject to ratification by the East Providence City Council for a period not to exceed 10 years. There is a City Council resolution to support this measure. I move passage.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Hull moves passage. Seconded by Representative Kazar, Chairman Abney, Whip Kazarian, Representative Messier, Representative Potter, Representative Casimiro, Leader Blazajewski, Chairman Hull, Representative Cardillo, Representative Amore, Chairman Azanaro. There are no other seconds on the bill. Okay, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Chairman McEntee, and Chairwoman Fogarty, all three of them also seconding. And Chairwoman Ruggiero seconding. Any other seconds, please hit the purple button on your iPad. Chairman Casey also seconding. There are no lights on the bill. All those in the affirmative, please vote. Clerk, unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative vote green. Any in the negative vote red. Leader Blazajewski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 3 from the following representatives: Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzakowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, and Tabone. And Mr. Speaker, I have one vote in opposition from Rep. Henrys. Thank you.
Thank you. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request in the affirmative, Representatives Chippendale, Quattrochi, and Roberts. And may I be recorded in the affirmative on item number 2? I think I missed that vote, please.
So ordered. Clerk will lock the machine. 67 the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 4, House 5828.
Chairman McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Resolution 5828 by Representative Alzate is a resolution that extends the reporting and expiration dates of the Special Legislative Commission to provide recommendations for encouraging more persons of color to enter the education field from April 17th, 2020 to April 17th, 2022, and the commission will expire on June 17th, 2022. Representative Alzate has been doing a tremendous job. This committee's been working hard, and this will improve education for all students in the state of Rhode Island. For those reasons, I move passage, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman McNamara moves passage. Seconded by Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Representative Amore, Representative Phillips, Representative Caldwell, Representative Morales, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Representative Bia, Representative Hawkins, Representative Donovan, Chairman Abney, Leader Blazajewski, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Representative Cortravan, Representative Kazar, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Shawcross-Smith, Representative Agello, Chairman Hull, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Chairman Azanaro, Chairman Casey, Chairman Giraldo, Representative Casimiro, Whip Kazarian, Representative Potter, Representative Messier, and Representative Fenton Fung, Representative Cardillo, and Representative Costantino also seconding. Any other seconds? There are no lights. Clerk, would you please unlock the machine? All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. Leader Blazajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 4 from the following representatives: Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Henrys, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzakowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, and Tabone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request in the affirmative, Representatives Chippendale, Quattrochi, and Roberts, please.
Thank you. Clerk will please lock the machine. 68 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docketed item, please.
Item number 5, 6043.
Chairwoman Fogarty.
Thank you, Speaker. House Bill 6043 comes to us from Chairman Shanley, and this is a resolution that would reinstate the life and extend the reporting and expiration dates of the Special Legislative Commission known as the Rhode Island Online Data Transparency and Privacy Protection Commission from February 5th, 2019 to May 5th, 2021, and said commission would expire on July 5th, 2021. It's a good resolution. I move passage.
Chairwoman Fogarty moves passage. Seconded by, please hit the purple button on your iPad, Representative Carson, Representative Morales, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Leader Blazajewski, Chairman Abney, Representative Speakman, Representative Cortravan, Representative Agello, Chairman Azanaro, Speaker Pro Tem Kennedy, Representative Kazar, Chairwoman McEntee, Chairwoman Williams, Representative Donovan, Representative Shawcross-Smith, Representative Cardillo, Chairman Corvasi, Chairman McNamara, Chairman Hull, Chairwoman Fogarty, seconding Chairman Casey, Representative Felix, Whip Kazarian, and Representative Barrows also seconding. Any other seconds? There are no lights. Clerk, would you please unlock the machine? All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. Leader Blazajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 5 from the following representatives: Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Henrys, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzakowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, and Tabone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request. In the affirmative, Representatives Chippendale, Roberts, and Quattrochi, please.
Thank you. Clerk, please lock the machine. There is 69 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The act shall prevail. Next docket item, please, Clerk.
Item number 6, Senate 561.
Chairman Hull.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate 561 by Senator Kellerman. It's act relating to property, Rhode Island Fair Housing Practice Act. This bill from Senator Kellerman is a duplicate of Representative Williams' bill 5257 and prohibits discrimination against those persons who have a lawful source of income. The City Council resolution supports this measure, and I move passage.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Hull moves passage, seconded by Representative Carson, Representative Speakman, Chairwoman Vella Wilkinson, Chairwoman Williams, Chairwoman Ruggiero, Representative Morales, Leader Blazajewski, Representative Bia, Representative Donovan, Chairman Abney, Representative Perez, Chairman Azanaro, Representative Kazar, Representative Cortravian, Representative Knight, Representative Cardillo, Chairwoman Fogarty, Representative Handy, Representative Agello, Representative Shawcross-Smith, Deputy Whip Ackerman, Chairman Hull, Chairman McNamara, Representative Kislak, Representative Slater, Representative Giraldo, Representative Potter, Representative Felix, Whip Kazarian, Representative Barrows, Representative McGaw, Representative Messier. There are no other seconds, and there are no other lights. Clerk, please unlock the machine. All those in the affirmative, please vote green. Any in the negative, please vote red. Leader Blazajewski, please. For
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 47 of the House Rules, I have proxy votes in favor of item number 6 from the following representatives: Alzate, Bennett, Edwards, Falela, Henrys, Charlene Lima, Stephen Lima, Lombardi, Marzakowski, McLaughlin, Serpa, Tanzi, and Tabone. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Same request. In the affirmative, Representatives Chippendale and Quattrochi. In the negative, Representative Roberts, please.
Thank you. Clerk, please lock the machine. There are 65 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. The act shall prevail. And that concludes today's calendar. Yeah, that's a good bill. Chairwoman Williams is a good bill, and we're going to have a bill signing later this week. Announcements and introductions. Deputy Whip Ackerman, please, for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. I have a House resolution recognizing the 73rd anniversary of Israel's establishment on April 13th, 2021, and reaffirming the bonds of friendship and cooperation between Rhode Island, the United States, and the State of Israel. I have this resolution for immediate consideration with the permission of the majority and minority leaders, and I ask that it be read at the end of session and be left on the desk for more signatures, please.
Thank you. Please send it up.
Thank you.
Representative McGaw.
Thank you, Speaker. In accordance with Rule 7D, on Thursday I will be introducing new legislation regarding EV charging stations in new parking lots.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chairman Abney, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 2 announcements, please.
Proceed.
First, the House Committee on Finance will meet in room 35 at the Rise. And the second one is, today, all members will receive an updated and more expansive budget analysis prepared by the House fiscal staff to help you better understand the governor's fiscal year 2022 budget proposal and recommended revisions to the fiscal year 2021 budget. A notable addition of this version is an updated report on federal stimulus funding. This is also available on the General Assembly website. The House fiscal staff also publishes a larger budget analysis volume that contains all these reports, as well as detailed analyses of every agency's fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2021 revised and capital budget recommendations. This will also be available on the website next week and hard copies after the legislative break. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Newberry, and then Representative Constantino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the next legislative day under Rule 7D, I'll be introducing a bill related to direct shipment of wine.
Thank you. Representative, wait, Constantino, just a minute, please. Please continue, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 7D, tomorrow will be introducing an act relating to taxation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Representative Casimiro, and then Chairman Corvesi.
Thank you, Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 7D, on the next legislative session, I will be introducing legislation regarding standards of conduct for notaries public.
Thank you very much. Chairman Corvesi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Announcement, I have a resolution.
Proceed.
With the permission of the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader, I have a House resolution honoring and thanking John Lanny, Esquire, on the occasion of his retirement, which will be this Thursday, April 15th. I'm sure all of you here, or most of you here, if you've been here for any period of time, know John Lanny down at the Alleged Council. John and I go back really to the beginning. He grew up on Finch Street off Dorman. I started my political career on Dorman Avenue. We hung together. And John and I became good friends over the years. John is a great person. He is a very lovable, funny guy. He has a personality second to none. The only thing about John is sometimes he can be as inscrutable as the Sphinx. There's no telling what's going on in his head. And I've known him all my life, and I still can't figure it out. But on a serious note, John was a very good son to his mother, took good care of his mom, took good care of his sister. John has been a hard worker down at the Ledge Council. He's been a good friend. And I have to say that I'm really going to miss him down at Ledge Council because there's many times I've been down there, and he'll lift up my spirits because he's a funny guy. But John did a great job for us. He's going to be sorely missed, and I will be looking forward to seeing him. And I'll be seeing him in the office, I'm sure. I'll see him in the neighborhood, and I wish him the best on his retirement from the State House. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Corvesi, and thank you, John, for his many years of service to the state, to the legislature, and all the things you said are so true. But I will also say he's really a good lawyer as well, because I've had the privilege of working with him and working against him, and he's a strong advocate for his clients, and it's the greatest compliment he can play. Representative Place, and then Whip Kazarian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In accordance with Rule 7D, I'll be introducing legislation dealing with education on the next legislative day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whip Kazarian, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would be remiss if I didn't get up and make some remarks about John Lanny and congratulating him on his retirement. Many of you know my introduction to the State House actually started as a very little girl, following my mom on snow days to the State House, sitting and reading while she was working. And John Lanny, or as I still call him, Mr. Lanny, was always there, just commenting on what I was reading, asking me about sports. And the first day I decided to run for office, he was one of my first supporters. He's a true friend. He is an excellent lawyer, and we're truly going to miss him down in Ledge Council. So congratulations to John. I'm excited for his next venture, but we'll certainly miss him up at the State House.
Thank you so much, Whip. Chairwoman Ruggiero, and then Representative Bia.
Thank you, Speaker. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Pursuant to Rule 7D, I will be introducing legislation on our next legislative day regarding the Coastal Resource Management Council, CRMC. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Representative Bia, and then Representative Price.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the permission of both the majority and minority leader, I have a resolution that I'd like to introduce honoring Central Falls Police Chief Anthony Robertson as the first African-American police chief in the state of Rhode Island history. He is a very good friend and a former Providence police officer, and also were former student school resource officer and detective. He has the work of a detective working with students in the city, working with families, and where you see actually like students, families in the neighborhood in the city of Providence, working with them. There is no big or small tax for where the chief that is currently in Central Falls. He was always welcome in the community by parents and where everyone is in the community. Again, honoring the first black African-American police chief in the state history, Chief Anthony Robertson, Central Falls.
Thank you. Please send it up. Representative Price, and then Representative Batista.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to be acknowledged as in the affirmative on the consent calendar, and 1 through 5 in the affirmative, and then on number 6 and then in the negative, please.
So ordered. We do not have a consent calendar, though. That's okay.
Okay.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yep, I just showed up.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Batista, and then Chairman Shanley. Just a minute, Representative. Please continue.
Thank you. All right, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was a little bit late today, so I'd ask your permission to be marked present for the record as well as for any votes that I might have missed.
Affirmative on today's calendar?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Thank you. Chairman Shanley. And then Chairwoman Bella Wilkinson.
With the consent of the majority and minority leader, I have a resolution for immediate consideration. It can be read at the rise of session.
Please send it up. Thank you. Chairwoman Bella Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an announcement, please.
Proceed.
Under the rules of 7D for the House, on the next legislative day, I'll be introducing an act relating to human services, the Rhode Island Works program.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman.
Thank you.
Representative Cortravan, and then Chairman Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the next legislative day, pursuant to Rule 7D, I will be putting in legislation regarding unemployment security benefits and DEM state park beaches.
Thank you. I assume that's 2 pieces of legislation? 2. Thank you, because they were 2 very divergent topics. No problem. Chairman Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Might I have my presence and my votes recorded? I was late today.
Certainly. I assume you want to vote in the affirmative on today's calendar?
Absolutely.
So ordered. Thank you. Representative Carson, and then Representative Caldwell.
Thank you, Speaker. In accordance with Rule 7D, on the next legislative day, I'll be introducing legislation on digital books.
Thank you very much. Representative Caldwell, and then Representative Felix.
Thank you, Speaker. Pursuant to Rule 7D, on the next legislative day, I'll be introducing legislation related to the Small Business Assistance Program.
Thank you. Representative Felix, and then Chairwoman McEntee.
Hi, Mr. Speaker. We just want to be recognized as present and mark that the affirmative for items 1 through 4, please.
Certainly, so ordered.
Thank you.
Chairwoman McEntee and then Chairwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I have two items. First, in accordance with Rule 7D, I will be filing a bill relating to labor and labor relations, employment security, general provisions on the next legislative day. Okay with that one?
Okay.
And now I have an adjournment.
Proceed.
Thank you. This is an adjournment, a resolution expressing sincere condolences on the passing of Antonio Caprio Jr. He was the devoted father of Catherine Caprio Albanese and her husband William Anthony Caprio and his wife Michelle and Elaine Caprio. Gee, that didn't sound right. I think I put that together wrong. He was a former husband of the late Bernadette Caprio and the longtime companion of the late Elaine Chase. He was born in Providence. Tony, as he was fondly known, was the son of the late Antonio and Filomeno Caprio and the brother of our well-known Providence Municipal Chief Judge, the Honorable Frank Caprio, and Joseph W. Caprio, the producer of Court in Providence. He is also survived by his cherished grandchildren, Michael Caprio, Mark Caprio, Andrew Brady, and Ashton Brady, and numerous nieces and nephews. And he's also the uncle of former Representative David Caprio, a friend of all of us from the House, and my dear friend from Narragansett. Mr. Caprio maintained a consistent commitment to the achievement of children through education. He worked as a teacher in the Providence School Department and was executive director of the John E. Fogarty Center for Children with Developmental Disabilities. He served as a director of the Neighborhood Youth Corps and was the assistant principal of Mount Pleasant High School and later principal of Hope High School. He served briefly as a Providence police officer where he was decorated for heroism for saving the lives of 2 children. Mr. Caprio learned the importance of loved ones and the need to help others from his close-knit family in Federal Hill. He will be sadly missed. I want to say to Judge Caprio, my dear friend, I'm sorry about the loss of your brother, and my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and I know the entire House concurs. Mr. Speaker, I have the resolution. I will leave it on the desk for signatures at your pleasure.
Thank you. Please send it up. Thank you, Chairwoman. Chairwoman Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to be marked present for today's session. Also marked affirmative for items 1 to 6.
So ordered.
And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, I have an IC resolution expressing deepest condolence the passing of Cecilia Michael Premi. Cecilia is one of the most prominent members of the Liberian community. Rhode Island is a home of the largest Liberian community in the United States. And Cecilia was one of the first establishing here. She opened the first African West restaurant, and she established the Dancing African Cultural Group, the first one, and was recognized by Rhode Island Housing and received a lot of awards. So my sincere condolences to the Liberian community and to entire state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Please send it up. Representative Morales and then Leader Filippi.
Mr. Speaker, with the approval of the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader, I have a House resolution for immediate consideration, expressing condolences to Dante Wright and his family, as Mr. Wright was a 20-year-old black man who was fatally shot over the weekend by a Minneapolis police officer. And myself and my colleagues sending all thoughts and prayers to his family and hoping that there is justice and that this is resolved in the fight for racial justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Please send it up. Leader Filippi.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise on a point of personal privilege, please.
Please state your personal privilege.
I'm responding to negative and slanderous comments made about me in the media.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On March 30th, all the Republican members of this caucus received an email from Patrick Anderson. Kind of went into the different polls about Republicans versus Democrats for taking a vaccine. It ended with that in mind, have you been vaccinated yet, or do you plan to get vaccinated when eligible? If so, why? If not, why not? I responded, thank you, Patrick. Respectfully, I won't respond to any query that seeks details on such personal and private medical decisions. So then the Providence Journal wrote an article. I would have written it differently if I was a member of the media, but I'm not. I don't take issue with that article. A Twitter firestorm erupted. I'm not here for Twitter. Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Nothing good comes of Twitter. Now, Mr. Speaker, I've been up here for 7 years. This is the first time I've called for a point of personal privilege. Can we have order,
just
please?
Just a moment, please. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I've been here for 7 years. I haven't risen on a point of personal privilege, and I probably get attacked in the media more than most. It's the nature of the position and of being a contrarian, and I accept that gladly. But when there's a larger issue at stake, I'm going to stand up and defend that larger issue, and that is an issue of fundamental notions of privacy in our medical decisions. So I want to read to you from a columnist named David Collins in the New London Day. So he goes through all these Connecticut representatives disclose their position on taking a vaccine, and he starts, quote, most shocking to me was the response in Rhode Island by Representative Blake Filippi of Block Island, whose district also covers Charlestown and parts of South Kingstown and Westerly, telling the newspaper it was none of anyone's business. He quotes me, respectfully, I won't respond to any query that seeks details on such personal and private medical decisions, he told the newspaper. Mr. Collins goes on. If Filippi is so adamant about the secrecy of his health, especially as it pertains to public health, he ought to give up his elected office and live as privately as he likes. If the lawmaker got a shot and won't admit it because of some perceived political bias against vaccinations among his constituents, then shame on him. If he didn't get a shot because of some medical complication, he could just say that and surely no one would press him for details. Filippi is the House Minority Leader, and failing to address the issue of vaccinations and how they can help us all is a decided failure of leadership. And then he compares Fisher Island to Block Island and says, but it seems clear Block Island's representative wasn't going to help them get better access to vaccines. None of that is true. It's unfortunate that in this country, we are not respecting individuals' rights to privacy. It would have been much easier for me to just say, yeah, I got a shot, or no, I don't want to get a shot. But the real issue out there is how people are being pressured to disclose their private medical decisions, and that is completely inappropriate. And I want to explain my rationale for it. So these COVID vaccines, and I encourage anyone, if you feel comfortable getting a vaccine, get it. It's your choice. It is no one has the right to inquire or pressure you to disclose that private medical choice. So after the atrocities that happened in World War II, the medical atrocities that happened, there was the Nuremberg Trials, Mr. Speaker. And the Nuremberg Trials set forth medical ethics as it relates to experimental vaccines. It is undisputed that these vaccines are experimental. They have not received full FDA authorization. They are proceeding under emergency use authorization. By their very nature, they are experimental. So the Nuremberg Code laid out how people are supposed to be treated with experimental medical treatments. The first item in the Nuremberg Code states as follows, and here's the introduction. It is the judgment of the War Crimes Tribunal at Nuremberg laid down 10 standards to which physicians must conform when carrying out experiments on human subjects in a new code that is now accepted worldwide. It deals with human rights. Number 1, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. This means that the person involved should have legal capacity to give consent, should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice without intervention or any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, and here's the pertinent language, or other ulterior form or constraint or coercion. What I see going on out there is people being pressured to partake in this medical experiment. I think people should partake it if they feel comfortable. But there is shaming going on, there is undue pressure, there are people attacking people. I'm being attacked for refusing to say whether I will engage in this medical treatment or not. It is not appropriate. We all, I think as a society, need to take a look in the mirror as to what we are doing as it relates to pressuring others to engage in medical treatment. Frankly, even if this wasn't experimental, no one should be pressured to engage in medical treatment or lambasted for refusing to disclose their private medical choice. We are better than that, and we, I think, need to have a little more temperance when dealing with each other. You don't know whether I have a medical condition or a mental condition that doesn't allow me to take vaccines. You don't know whether I've taken one or not. It's no one else's business. Now, I could have said, yeah, I took one, or no, I'm not going to take it, and it would have been easier than dealing with this garbage that's been written about me. But there's a larger issue at stake. It's something we all need to respect, and that is privacy in medical decisions. And I'm fearful where we're going as a society as it relates to the way we're treating each other during this pandemic, and we have to take a look in the mirror. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. Leader Blazajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Announcement, please.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will be meeting in House session this Thursday, April 15th at 4 p.m. here at the Vets. This will be our final session before next week's annual spring recess. We are not in session next week. You all should have also received your legislative priority form in an email from Speaker Shekarchi. Please take the opportunity to indicate your top 3 priorities. The deadline to return the form is this Thursday, April 15th. For Democrats, please email the forms to Jennifer Amarantes in my office, or you can hand them to Larry Berman here at the Vets. Larry also has extra copies of the forms if you need them. And Republicans should return their forms to Leader Philippi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. Next order of business is immediate consideration with the I have a House resolution by Chairwoman Diaz, seconded by Leader Blazajewski, Representative Bia, Chairwoman Williams, and Representative Rangel Vassal, expressing the deepest condolences on the passing of Cecilia Primi. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Representative Rangel Vassal, you have an announcement, please? I apologize if I did not see your light.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a resolution that I would like to introduce with your permission and with the permission of the minority leader. And it's a doula. I'm running in here and I need to just calm down, so let me calm down a little. It's celebrating March 22nd through the 28th, 2021, and that was World Doula Week. And it's a little late because I was not here, but I didn't want to not present this because this is so, so important. So this will be left on the desk for signatures.
Please send it up. We will leave it on the desk for signatures.
And also, finally, I want to be marked present and in the affirmative on everything on the calendar.
So ordered. Thank you. I do not see any of the lights. I'm going to go back to the resolutions. Thank you. I have a House resolution by Representative Morales, seconded by Leader Blazajewski, Representative Potter, Representative Magor, Representative Batista, Representative Kislak, Chairwoman Williams, and Leader Filippi, expressing condolences to the Wright family on the passing of Duante Wright of Minnesota. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a resolution by myself and many others presented by Chairwoman McEntee expressing sincere condolences on the passing of Antonio Caprio. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Excuse me. Thank you. We're almost done, please. I have a House resolution by Chairman Shanley thanking Elizabeth Voro and her 30 years of distinguished public service with the National Labor Relations Board, seconded by Leader Blazajewski, Representative Donovan, Representative Speakman, and Leader Filippi. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. I have a House resolution honoring the Central Falls Chief Colonel of Police, Anthony Robertson, on being the first African-American police chief in Rhode Island, and thanking him for his many years of exemplary and distinguished public service. Presented by Representative Bia, seconded by Representative Hull, Representative Giraldo, Representative Batista, myself, Leader Blazajewski, Chairwoman Williams, and Representative Felix. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a resolution by myself, seconded by many others, honoring and thanking John Laney on the occasion of his retirement, also seconded by Chairman Corvesi. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a resolution recognizing the 73rd anniversary of the State of Israel's establishment and reaffirming the bonds of friendship and cooperation between Rhode Island, the United States, and the State of Israel, brought to us by Deputy Whip Ackerman, seconded by many others. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I have a resolution by Leader Blazajewski, seconded by Leader Filippi, expressing condolences on behalf of the House. I also have a resolution expressing congratulations by Leader Blazajewski and seconded by Leader Filippi. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. I have one more resolution by Representative Rangel Vassa, seconded by Chairman McNamara, myself, and Leader Blazajewski, celebrating March 22nd through March 28th as World Doula Week in the state of Rhode Island. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next order of business is transmittal. Is there any objection to transmitting all matters on the clerk's desk to His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Senate, or the Secretary of State forthwith? Hearing none, so ordered. Leader Blazajewski moves that the House adjourn in memory of Antonio Caprio, Dante Wright, Cecilia Primi, seconded by Leader Filippi. All those, please stand for a moment of silence. Excuse me, a moment of silence. Thank you. The House is adjourned. The desk is open.
Let me know when you're ready. I'm good. I'm good. Good. Hi. Yeah.
House resolution recognizing the 73rd anniversary of Israel's establishment on April 13, 2021, and reaffirming the bonds of friendship and cooperation between Rhode Island, the United States, and the State of Israel. Whereas on November 29, 1947, the United Nations General Assembly voted to partition British Mandatory Palestine into a Jewish state and an Arab state, a decision welcomed by Jewish leadership and rejected by the Arab world. And whereas on May 14, 1948, the people of Israel proclaimed the establishment of the sovereign and independent state of Israel, and the United States government established full diplomatic relations after Israel's first election in 1949. And whereas the desire of the Jewish people to establish an independent modern state of Israel is directly linked to the existence of the historic kingdom of Israel, established in the land of Israel more than 3,000 years ago, with the city of Jerusalem as its capital both then and now. And whereas for over 2,000 years, Jews living in other parts of the world maintained a profound spiritual and emotional connection to the land of Israel, and there has been continuous Jewish presence in the land comprising the modern state of Israel. And whereas the establishment of the modern state of Israel as a homeland for the Jewish people followed the destruction of much of European Jewry during the Holocaust, and whereas since its establishment 73 years ago, the modern state of Israel has rebuilt the nation, forged a new and dynamic society, and created a thriving economic, political, cultural, and intellectual life, despite the heavy burdens of war, terrorism, and unjustified diplomatic and economic boycotts against the people of Israel. And whereas the people of Israel, in the spirit of Israel's Declaration of Independence, have established a vibrant, pluralistic, democratic political system which includes freedom of speech, association, and religion, a vigorously free press, free, fair, and open elections, the rule of law, a fully independent judiciary, and other democratic principles and practices. And whereas Israel has developed some of the world's leading universities, has an advanced entrepreneurial economy, is among the world's leaders of the high-tech industry, and is at the forefront of research and development in the fields of renewable energy resources and medicine. And whereas Israel regularly sends humanitarian aid, search and rescue teams, mobile hospitals, and other emergency supplies to help victims of disasters around the world. And whereas Israel has taken in millions of Jews from countries throughout the world and sought to fully integrate them into Israel's society. And whereas Israel has established peaceful bilateral relations with Egypt and Jordan and has sought to achieve a secure peace with the Palestinians and Israel's other Arab neighbors. And whereas for more than 7 decades, Rhode Island, the United States, and Israel have maintained a special relationship based on mutually shared democratic and moral values, common strategic interests, and bonds of friendship and mutual respect. And whereas the American people and the people of Rhode Island feel a strong affinity for the Israeli people based on common values and shared cultural heritage. And whereas the United States and Rhode Island continue to regard Israel as a trusted ally and a vital strategic partner in the volatile Middle East. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby recognizes the historic significance of the 73rd anniversary of the reestablishment of the sovereign and independent State of Israel as a homeland for the Jewish people. And be it further resolved that this House hereby reaffirms the bonds of friendship and cooperation which have existed between Rhode Island, the United States, and Israel for more than 70 years, and commits to strengthening those bonds. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit duly certified copies of this resolution to Mr. Adam Greenman, President and CEO of the Jewish Alliance of Greater Rhode Island, and Mr. Zeev Borka, Israel Consulate General in Boston. House Resolution honoring Central Falls Police Chief Colonel Anthony Robertson on being the first African-American police colonel in Rhode Island and thanking him for his many years of exemplary and distinguished public service. Whereas Central Falls Police Chief Colonel Anthony Robertson began his distinguished public safety career in 2002 as a patrol officer with the Providence Police Department. During his exemplary and distinguished career with the police department, Chief Robertson served in numerous capacities, including as a member of the Patrol Bureau, as the Patrol Bureau Coordinator, a member of the Neighborhood Response Team Task Force, School Resource Officer, Sergeant, Commanding Officer of the Records Bureau, Detective in the Youth Service Division, and Juvenile Hearing Board Liaison, and instructed on cultural competency and diversity for the Police Academy. And whereas Chief Robertson holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Bellevue University, a Master of Science degree from Boston University in criminal justice with a concentration in strategic management, a postmaster's degree in education, and a doctorate degree in education. He is also a graduate of Harvard University Kennedy School of Executive Education, Cornell University Women in Leadership Program, Harvard University Extension School in Effective Organizational Communication, Roger Williams University Leadership Development and Organizational Learning and Policing, and is a graduate of the University of Louisville Southern Police Institute's Chief Executive Law Enforcement Program. He is also a state certified teacher in criminal justice. And whereas, since becoming the police chief of Central Falls in early January 2021, Chief Robertson has made a positive impact in his short tenure. He complemented several award-winning community policing efforts, including the Handshake Initiative, Shop with a Cop, the Bicycle Summer Safety Program, and the Leading Ladies Initiative, all of which have significantly improved relations between the Central Falls Police Department and the surrounding community. Chief Robertson also plans on being a very visible police chief and remains in constant contact with the community by visiting schools and community organizations and simply walking the streets of getting to interact as much as possible with the people of Central Falls. And whereas Colonel Robertson has received numerous accolades throughout his distinguished public service career, he was the first person in Rhode Island to be selected to receive the United States Department of Justice Attorney General's Award for Distinguished Service in Community Policing. He is also the recipient of the Jefferson Award for Public Service, is an inductee into the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Hall of Fame for the City of Providence, is an awardee of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association for Community Policing, and is a recipient of the NAACP Medgar Evers Award and the President George H.W. Bush Point of Light Award, and was selected as one of the Men Who Make a Difference by the Women's Resource Center. Chief Robertson also serves on the board of directors for the Sojourner House, an agency that combats domestic violence, and is also a board member of the Paramedic Advisors for Roger Williams University. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby honors Central Falls Police Chief Colonel Anthony Robertson on being the first African-American police colonel in Rhode Island and thanks him for his many years of exemplary and distinguished public service. We further extend our sincere best wishes for his future endeavors in the city of Central Falls, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit a duly certified copy of this resolution to Colonel Anthony Robertson, Police Chief, Central Falls. Okay. House resolution thanking Elizabeth Vorro for her 30 years of distinguished public service with the National Labor Relations Board. Whereas Elizabeth A. Beth Vorro of Bristol, Rhode Island, has been an attorney with the National Relations Board, the National Labor Relations Board, for 30 years, serving as the Rhode Island resident agent. And whereas Ms. Vorro has personified the Labor Board's mission to safeguard employees' rights to organize and bargain collectively and to be free from unfair labor practices. And whereas Ms. Vorro has been directly involved in many of Rhode Island's most significant labor disputes as both a skillful attorney and as a voice of reason and compromise. And whereas, in addition to her professional obligations, Ms. Vorro has been a volunteer, mentor, advocate, and leader in the battle for gender equality and the LGBTQ+ rights. And whereas after 30 years as a fighter for justice, Ms. Vorro has decided to retire from the Labor Board and continue her work on behalf of our community as a private citizen. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby thanks and congratulates Elizabeth Vorro for her many years of service to the labor community and her Rhode Island neighbors, and extends its best wishes for a well-earned retirement, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be and hereby is authorized and directed to transmit a duly certified copy of this resolution to Ms. Elizabeth Vorro.
Thank you, sir. Got a couple more. House resolution honoring and thanking John Lanny Esquire on the occasion of his retirement. Whereas, whether it is in the chamber or the various offices that support the legislative process, the extraordinary commitment of individuals who share their time, talents, and knowledge is one of the most valuable assets for the General Assembly. Upon graduation from North Providence High School, John Lanny attended Providence College, earning his degree cum laude in political science. Continuing his education, he received his Juris Doctor cum laude from Suffolk University in 1984. To the immense good fortune of the Rhode Island General Assembly, John began his long and varied employment with the legislature in 1977. Multi-talented, he held numerous positions, including workers as a part-time paralegal, head proofer, and staff attorney. And whereas on December 7, 1999, John became legal counsel in the Office of Legislative Counsel. Although he has generally maintained an under-the-radar persona, his expertise soon earned him a myriad of additional responsibilities as a supervisor, reviewer, and senior staff attorney. In addition to his long hours at the State House, he has also maintained a private practice in the city of East Providence. John's longevity in the Legislative Council has been an essential resource for the General Assembly. His review and revision of the bills to be introduced and the guidance and training he has provided to the new lawyers has proven to be a beneficial and positive influence due to the depth of his knowledge and legal acumen. Throughout his years in the Legislative Council, John's amiable personality has earned him the respect and friendship of staff and legislators alike. With self-effacing charm and unabashed wit, he has not only been essential to the efficient operations of the Legislative Council, but also to the morale and the team spirit of the office during the often long hours. A consummate professional, John takes pride in his appearance, often sporting monogrammed dress shirts and snappy ties. Although his overzealous visits to his hairstylist have resulted in disappointment from various members of the staff. The General Assembly, the Office of Legislative Counsel, and the people of the state of Rhode Island have all benefited from the extensive tenure and talents of John Lanny. He is eminently worthy of our gratitude and admiration, and his departure from the State House will be keenly felt for many sessions to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the state of Rhode Island hereby recognizes and thanks John Lanny for his many years of dedicated service to the Office of Legislative Counsel and the Rhode Island General Assembly. And moreover, wishes him the well-earned time to spend with Pam at their beautiful and scenic home, play unlimited rounds of golf, and cruise around in his Porsche convertible. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State being hereby is authorized to direct and truly transmit the certified copy of this resolution to Mr. Lanny Esquire. House resolution expressing deepest condolences on the passing of Cecilia Makor Primi. Cecilia Makor Primi was born in 1945 in Liberia to Sua Nima Makor. She later met Peace Corps volunteer Stan Primi, and they were married in 1970. When Cecilia and her husband moved to Providence in 1971, she became one of the first native Liberians to settle in the city. After establishing herself in Rhode Island, she began the process of bringing her extended family members to the United States. She is widely credited for being at least partly responsible for the large Liberian presence in Providence. Cecilia would make Rhode Island history once again when she opened the first African-American restaurant in Providence, Cecilia's West African Restaurant. She became an institution in the city, introducing delectable Liberian cuisine and West African culture to many within the metropolitan regions. Cecilia was also the first establishment to host a reggae night in Rhode Island. Whereas Cecilia had a long and distinguished career as an IPA at the John Pastore Medical Center, where she was beloved by her co-workers, superiors, and the people she served. She was a tireless worker who made a positive difference in the lives of all the people she encountered. Whereas Cecilia was an expert in African traditional dance and was awarded a grant from the Rhode Island Foundation to teach African dance. After retiring in 2010, she started the Makor Dancing Feed Culture Troupe to introduce Liberian culture and dance to Rhode Island. The troupe consisted of neighborhood children, including her nieces and nephews, and they had a major impact on the local art scene, performing at the Providence Performing Arts, appearing at the International Day festivities at RISD and Brown University, performing for the former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and even danced in a major motion picture starring Wesley Snipes. Whereas Cecilia Makor Primi leaves behind her daughters Mona and Marjay Abilgee, sons William, Nicholas, Michael Abilgee, and Sam Pay, her brother. Alfred Makor, Sister Lucia Watler, and Sarah Abeljay. She was preceded in death by her daughter Sylvia Premery, brothers Dolo Makor, John Makor, Frank Makor Sr., James Makor, Francis Makor Sr., Pepe Makor, Gamubomo Makor, Benjamin Makor, Kali Sua Owa, Arthur Makor, Paya Makor, Sisters Lupa, Menlika Makor, Nawe Kolui Makor, Kiba, Manula Cooper, Koma Makor, Tawan Labano, and May Makor Diggs. She also leaves behind many nieces and nephews, cousins, and friends. Whereas Cecilia was a gifted storyteller who loved to laugh, smile, wear bright outfits, and make others happy, she was an adventurous world traveler who made friends across the globe. Most importantly, she was devoted to her family and friends and will be long remembered for her many years of exemplary service to the community and those who needed assistance. Now, and therefore be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby expresses its deepest condolences to the Makor Premi family on the passing of Cecilia Makor Premi, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State is hereby authorized and directed to transmit certified copies of this resolution to Alfred Makor, Lucille Watler, Sarah Abeljay, Mona Abeljay, Marjay Abeljay, William Abeljay, Nicholas Abeljay, Michael Abeljay, and Samuel S. Pay. House resolution expressing condolences to the Wright family of Minnesota on the passing of Dante Wright. Whereas Dante Wright, 20-year-old African-American from Minnesota, died tragically on April 11, 2021, when he was fatally shot after being stopped for a traffic violation. A struggle had ensued between Mr. Wright and the police officers, during which one of the police officers who stated she thought she had a taser instead fired her weapon, resulting in the death of Mr. Wright. And whereas this tragedy needs to be thoroughly and openly investigated and justice must be end result for all parties involved, Dante Wright's mother, Mrs. Katie Wright, has promptly called for justice for her son and the people of color, and has also admirably stated that the more violence in response to this tragedy is not what is needed at this moment in time for the greater Minneapolis community. Now therefore be it resolved that this House of Representatives of the State of Rhode Island hereby expresses its deepest condolences on the untimely and tragic passing of Dante Wright. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of State is hereby authorized and directed to transmit the certified copy of this resolution to Mrs. Katie Wright. House resolution celebrating March 22, 2021 through March 28, 2021 as World Doula Week in the state of Rhode Island. Whereas in the United States, maternal mortality rates are the highest in the developed world and increased by 26.6% between 2000 and 2014. Whereas it is estimated that half of the maternal mortalities in the United States could be prevented with better care, and half of the maternal injuries could be reduced or eliminated with better care. Of the 4 million American women who give birth each year, about 700 suffer fatal complications during pregnancy while giving birth or during the postpartum period, and an additional 50,000 are severely injured. Whereas doulas are professionals trained to care for and support families during the pregnancy, labor, and birth by providing emotional, physical, and instructional support with traditional comfort measures and educational materials, as well as assistance during the transition to parenthood and the initial postpartum period through home visits. And birth doulas respect the family's individual beliefs and needs. A growing body of evidence indicates that stress from racism and racial discrimination results in conditions including hypertension and preeclampsia that contribute to poor mental health, maternal health outcomes among Black women. Black women in the United States suffer from life-threatening pregnancy complications twice as often as their white counterparts, and their risk of maternal mortality has remained higher than white women's risk for the past 6 decades. Whereas studies in Oregon, Minnesota, and Wisconsin have shown that using a doula can save money. Currently in the United States, 1 in 3 births are C-section, which costs about 50% more than conventional birth. Using a doula reduces the chances of the need for C-section by 25%. According to the manuscript entitled Modeling the Cost of Effectiveness for Doula Care, associated reductions in preterm birth and cesarean delivery in Minnesota, women who receive doula support had lower preterm and cesarean birth rates than Medicaid beneficiaries regionally, 4.7% versus 62.3% and 20.4% versus 34.2%. Data has also shown that women with doula care have had 22% lower births of preterm births. Cost effectiveness analysis indicates potential savings associated with doula support, which reimbursed at an average of $986, ranging from $929 to $1,047 across states. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House of Representatives in the state of Rhode Island hereby celebrates March 22nd through March 28th, 2021 as World Doula Week and recognize the vital need and usefulness of the perinatal doula services in order to provide medical assistance, health care for expectant mothers, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State of Rhode Island be hereby authorized and directed to transmit certified copies of this resolution to the doulas of Rhode Island, Open Circle Rhode Island, and Rhode Island Doula Services.